Hey guys. So I'm going to kind of continue on from where I was at this morning. The problem that we end up running into when we give away our power is what we're trying to do is we're trying to control somebody else's behavior. Now, it isn't malicious on the part of the person who is trying to, make themselves safe. And there is empathy there, but at the same time, when you have a lot of fear, a lot of times we can't tune into what we are, what the impact is on the other person. But that aside, what we're trying to do when we give away our power like that, when we are emotionally controlled, when we react, is we are trying to make ourselves safe. When an abuser accuses you of something and you jump to your own defense, which is what they want you to do, and you get distraught, you get worked up, you get, very defensive, that's what they want. But what you're trying to do is you're trying to recreate, to bring back the safety, so that they're not attacking you anymore. So you don't have to, you don't have to worry about that. That's where a lot of that comes into play. Well, that was interesting. You get that reactivity that's trained in. The abuser will train you to do that so that they are actually in control when you're trying to control the situation. You're trying to control the other person's behavior and actions. You're trying to get them to be nice to you. You're trying to get them to treat you like a human being. And, you might do that by fighting. You might do that by being defensive. You might, you might do that by fawning, doing the rolling over and, basically, I'm having a brain fart here. Fawning, you have your fight, flight, freeze, or fawn response, and all of it is an attempt at safety, to create safety, to stop an attack, to preserve self, which is very ironic in that when you have an abuser who is pushing you into these kinds of behaviors. Where is it? County's going code into something. When they're pushing you into these kinds of behaviors, and they're getting you to try to control and change their behavior, they're getting compliance from you. Okay, but that one's not running code. Why? They're getting that compliance. They're getting what they want. They're getting that power trip because to get control of you, they make you think that they can, that you can get them to be nice to them or to stop doing whatever they're doing through whatever reaction it is that they're wanting from you. It's just, ugh. And then they turn it against you and make you the bad guy. So with that, stop giving away your power. Your power is in your response. Quit responding to these people. I know they make it feel like you have to because there's so much pressure that they put on you. And it's like they get in your face and they're super urgent, and they, you know, they sound like they've got all of this conviction and you know, like they're right and they're convinced of this, and you have to convince them otherwise, or you have to make them stop, or you have to somehow, you know, get them to stop abusing you and hurting you. Here's the problem with that. They are getting what they want from you in that moment. They are getting control over you when you try to control their behavior. Ultimately, what it comes down to is you have to accept that this is what they do. You cannot change their behavior. This is what they do. This is what they're going to do. You have two choices, because changing them and changing their behavior is not one of them. You have two choices. Stay and deal with this for the rest of your life, or leave. Those are your two choices. Because what you allow, what you entertain, will continue. You know? And when I say that, I mean what you allow in your life. You're not going to stop the abuser from acting whatever way they act. You're not going to stop even somebody who's unstable, you know, unless they learn tools for emotional stability. But that's not controlling that behavior. That's giving them tools to control their behavior themselves. It's never done through manipulation. And that was thankfully something that I learned from the person who was there for me in the period, in a very crucial period of time, that helped me get away from my last abuser. So when I say, you know, what you allow will continue, it's what you allow in your life, what you entertain. So when you are entertaining, what I mean is when you are responding to it, when you take it personally, when you aren't realizing that this is just the abuser being an abuser. They're just doing what they do. It has nothing to do with you. You know? You may be the target, but you're not, it's about them. It's about them and their desire for control. So, stop entertaining it. I know, easier said. I know. Much easier said. It goes back to that principle of somebody says it's easy and simple. It's not. They're full of it. So, simple, yes. Easy, no. Because in order to be able to do that, you have to break down the false narrative around that urgency and what feels like that you like have to respond to this. You have to respond or react to them. And when you stop responding and reacting to an abuser, they usually lose their mind and it gets really bad. And that's where you need to have an exit plan in place. If you're going to do this, because it's going to get really, really, really ugly. So when we're talking about entertaining, right? It is a choice. It may not feel like it, but it is. I promise you. Because what you allow to control you is a choice. And it's something that you have to learn how to choose, because it's kind of like, say you've got a faucet, right? And the valve is broken, so it's running all the time. You've got to deal with that. It's constant. You have to deal with that. And with the abuse, when they bait you, when they try to get you to rise to it, when they try to get you to defend yourself, or they provoke you, or whatever it is, your valve is broken. Your valve doesn't work. It needs some TLC, because it's just full on. Whether they're trying to trigger abandonment issues, or they're trying to make you feel bad about yourself, or they're using guilt, or, oh, you owe me this because I did that for you. They try to get you to do whatever it is that they want because they've been nice to you. That tap is on full, and you have got to figure out how to fix that valve, because you're not going to stop them from doing what they do. But one of the first things that you can do is consider the source. Before you react to anything, consider the source. And learning not to react is a process. It can be a really long process, where what it starts with is recognizing that you are reacting, and then taking a step back and stopping that reaction, and working through it intellectually, and then choosing how you're going to respond from there on out. And then if you're consistent with that, your catch time from when you react to when you're able to catch that and stop, take a deep breath, step back, and respond rather than react, that time gets smaller and smaller and smaller. And this, it takes time. It does. It takes multiple events. It takes practice. And you're not probably going to be immediately good at it. So, with that, the abuser is going to try to provoke an emotional response from you, an emotional reaction that you then act on. So, when you start to control that reaction, it doesn't mean that you don't feel hurt. It doesn't mean that you don't feel anger. And, I'm going to say anger is a very appropriate response to somebody who is trying to manipulate you and trying to hurt you and just mess with your feelings in general. To somebody lying to you, lying about you, trying to use coercion or guilt or what have you. I'm going to say anger is a very appropriate emotional response to that. But acting on that anger can get you in a lot of trouble. And you really want to avoid that, because you want to do what is going to be in your own best interest in that situation. And what's in your best interest is to not give the abuser ammunition against you, while also protecting yourself. That takes being able to think. And you can't think when you're reacting. So, should you be able to stop and think immediately, after watching this video? No, it takes time. It takes time. It takes time and practice. So don't beat yourself up for it. You know, even the best of us, I'm sure, have had to learn this if it wasn't learned in the home and growing up. So stop giving away your power. Stop giving the abuser what they want. When you try to control their actions, when you try to make them treat you better, stop giving away your power. Either you're going to allow that in your life or you're not. Don't make ultimatums. Don't make threats. You know, all you need to say is, this isn't something that I'm going to tolerate. It's not healthy. It's not safe. And if it continues, for my own safety, I'm going to leave. And that gives them the choice of whether or not to change their behavior. You know, if somebody knows that you don't feel safe around them because of their behavior, if they genuinely care about you, they will be able to acknowledge that you are hurt. And that can be tough too, because for people who have been in abusive relationships and have been programmed like this, it's really tough to not see censure or rebuke as an attack, because the abuser has framed it that way. They have conditioned us to see that any sort of correction as an attack, because that's what they've done, is they've used it against us. So rather than it just being feedback, that it is, oh my God, I'm a terrible person, you hate me, I'm good for nothing, blah, 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 I suck, terrible human being, yeah, whatever. So that's learned. A lot of that comes from, you know, being in abusive relationships where people try to instill that programming. That aside, yeah. Take back your power. And okay, why are we going 20 and a 35? I do not understand. Stop giving away your power. Yes. Oh my goodness, people. We are special today. Quit reacting to stuff. Stop it. Because you're giving away your power. You need to be able to make choices instead of just reacting to everything going on around you. You need to be able to consciously choose how you are going to respond to the things going on around you in a way that is going to be beneficial and at the very least not harmful for you and the people you care about. That takes, again, prefrontal cortex, which is shut down, not really functioning, when the emotional part of your brain and your fight or flight or fawn or freeze, you know, your amygdala basically, is running the show. Emotions don't make good decisions. Because emotions can't see consequences. And ask me how I know. So either accept that the person is going to be exactly who they are going to do what they do, or keep trying to change them. Tell me how it works. You know, let me know. Let me know how that works for you. Because I tried for years. I tried to control the abuser's behavior by giving them what they wanted, giving into demands, by cutting off friends and listening to them, believing them, etc., etc., etc. Anyway, that's my understanding of stop giving away your power. And I can tell you something, that when I don't let people guilt me, I don't let people tell me that I owe them anything, because that's really not how that works. The only time I owe somebody for something is if I agreed to a trade. That's the only time you owe anybody anything. Yeah, okay, if you're crashing into somebody's house, be a decent human being and do some chores. If you can't pay rent, do. But other than that, no. You don't owe anybody who you haven't chosen to be in your life. Even then, you don't owe them your time. You don't owe them your energy. You don't owe them anything. So quit letting people walk on you, and quit letting people control you through your emotions. It sounds simple, but it's definitely not easy. There's a huge learning curve to that. So I would say, just start where you're at if you haven't already started that journey. Just start with simple awareness. It goes a long, long way. And the other thing too, with that is you can only start where you're at. You can't start from anywhere else. You could say, oh, I'm going to wait till I'm in a better place. Well, you're still going to be starting where you're at. So, all right, guys, take care. Have a good evening. I got to go do some stuff.